What's up, Cyberhawks? So in today's video, we're gonna be going over some CISSP training. I did a video recently kind of going over my training in CISSP, or at least me talking about how I took the test and I ran out of time while taking the test. I think I did, pretty good for my results. I just wasn't able to answer all the questions or wasn't able to answer enough questions. So um, if you're taking the test, just be mindful of the time, and yeah, definitely be mindful of the time, especially after like an hour pass. And they can help you out a lot, just being mindful of the time. So again, you may be doing excellent, but you're not mindful and you didn't answer enough questions to actually pass the test. But yeah, I'm ready for it a second time. But I think this will be good. To kind of should do some training with you guys here. And again, you can go to loginpacific.com, or should go to Google, type in Josh Madakor CISSP training, and you should be able to find all of this. And let me just go back real quick. Look at that. You got A plus, Security X, Network Plus, Security Pen Test Project Plus. So it's a lot of different ones that you can get training on. And I think these are pretty good. He also has flashcards as well that I was doing through my phone. And it's like through Anki flashcards, and that helps out so much. So if doing it online is cool, but actually having the flashcards and being able to focus on the ones that you really are that good at can help you out a lot. So we're gonna start out with domain one, and we should do like maybe like five, maybe like three to five on each one. So let's go out with domain one, security and risk management. If it will load up, that would be great. And it's not loading up. Let's refresh this. Okay, we should be good. I had to do a quick pause on that. Take a minute. Usually it's quicker than that. So first question, what cabinet level position was created by the Homeland Security Act? Okay. This one I do not know. What cabinet level position was created by the Homeland Security Act? Security of Defense, Security of Homeland Security, Secretary of State, Secretary of Energy. I don't think it's Secretary of State or Secretary of Energy, but the Homeland Security Act. So we got Security of Defense and Security of Homeland Security. Security of Defense. What cabinet level was created? Homeland Security Act. So already we have 50 and 50%. I know it's one of these. Perfect. Security. That's Secretary of Homeland Security. Now let me hear their explanation, and then I can actually give why I picked that one. The Homeland Security Act created a new cabinet level position, Secretary of Homeland Security. So when I saw security, I'm like, okay, it's gonna be something dealing with, you know, like security, but security is also defense. So that's kind of why I was looking at a Secretary of Defense. I said Security of Defense, but Secretary of Defense. However, the question is Homeland. There's only one Homeland that looks more closer to that. So I end up going with that. And like when you're taking the CISSP, I think it's like less technical and more thinking of like being like a manager. So when you see certain questions, that one wasn't like one of those managerial questions, but there are like a good amount of like managerial style questions that you get to think as if you were a manager when taking it. So you might not know everything, but given the context clues within the usage of words, it can help you with finding the answer, or at least getting like 50-50 like I did. Next one. Which of the following concept refers to the ability of a user to meet their needs with available data? Okay, which of the following concepts refers to the ability of a user to meet their needs with available data? So we got accessibility, usability, timelessness, and availability. Which of the following concepts, okay, refers to the ability of a user to meet their needs? User to meet their needs with available data. Okay, I don't see timelessness being one. Accessibility, for the ability to meet their needs with available data. Accessibility would be more just having access to the data. Huh. Concept refers to the ability of a user to meet their needs with the available data. That's just having access to it. So I'm going with usability and availability. But availability, again, is just being there. Usability makes more yeah, usability makes more sense. And let's see their explanation. Usability refers to the ability of a user to meet their needs with available data. Yeah, okay. It is possible for data to be available but lack sufficient usability. An example of this is when a user has only read-only permissions for a file they need to edit. Okay, cool. So again, I'm not sure I'm not sure you guys saw exactly how I did that, but I was kind of like going over the questions or going over the answer that I knew was wrong. And again, kind of getting myself to like a 50-50. And like that helps out so much. And then from there, kind of just referring back to what the question is really asking and finding one answer that like applies to that more or less. Okay, number 3. What is the purpose of control assessments via interview? Okay. To implement new security controls, to review evidence provided during examine phase, to ignore the security controls in place, to test the effectiveness of firewalls. Okay. What is the purpose of control assessments via interview? See, the interview part kind of throwing me out there. I'm thinking I'm going to see something else. But okay, well, the purpose, control. Okay, we're looking at control assessments. To ignore the security controls in place. That wouldn't make any sense of controlling something, right? So that's out. What is the purpose of control assessments? To review evidence provided during the exam phase. Okay, I guess you're interviewing somebody like that. To implement new security controls. To test the effectiveness of firewalls. Purpose of, okay, I can see us testing. I could see us testing the effectiveness. I could see like a control assessment of just testing the firewalls. But I don't think that's the answer. To implement new secure can't even talk. To implement new security controls. What's the purpose of control assessments? I don't think it's that either for control assessments. So to review evidence provided during that, or to test the effectiveness of the firewall. Yeah. The main purpose of control assessments via interview is to gain additional clarity on what security controls are in place and how they work, and reviewing any evidence provided during the exam phase. I think I'm pronouncing that right. I don't know if that's like another word, but this looks off. Like I want to say the examination phase. Um, but yeah, that just made the more to me that made more sense than the firewalls because what the purpose of these control assessments? Like I'm kind of just thinking like, okay, we're testing out something in a control environment. Usually we could testing out something like in a control environment, like a science class, so that we can like review it afterwards and review this is what happens with XYZ. So that's why I went with B. It fit more aligned with that versus D. Okay. 4. What is the recovery point objective? Okay, RPO. Recovery point objective. I'm not exactly sure if I even remember what the recovery point objective is. So again, this is even better. So you guys can see me doing this live. A, the cost associated with data loss. Okay. B, the period of time that the business will tolerate without data loss. Okay. C, the frequency at which backups are performed. Or D, the amount of data that can be lost without significant impact on business operations. And guys, you can answer this too in the comments as well. I definitely want to see you guys kind of go and do these questions and maybe put in like the answer that you guys have first. And then at the end, hitting enter and then just having, the ones that you picked throughout. Okay, so what is the recovery point? Okay, recovery point objective. So we're looking for an objective, but also recovery. Okay. Costs associated with data loss. The period of time that the business will tolerate without data loss. Okay. Data loss, we're recovering. I can see that. The frequency in which backups are performed, recovery point. objective. I see what they were trying to go with that one, but I don't think it's that the amount of data that can be lost without significant impact on business operations. The recovery point objective, the amount of data that can be lost without significant impact on business operations. I think this is another one. This one looks so familiar, but I don't think it's for recovery point objective. I think it's another term for it. So for me, I got A and B. The cost associated with data loss and the period of time that the business will tolerate without data loss. The recovery point objective. The cost associated with data loss. Nah, I feel like that's something else too. I'm gonna go with, oh wow, it really was D. Okay. The recovery point objective represent the maximum period of time that a business can tolerate data loss. This must be defined by the business and is responsible for resourcing the controls to achieve the RPO. Okay, that looks so familiar, but I thought it was called something else. So yeah, something that happens. I really thought it was called something else. And my number 5, what happens to the ISC2 member who knowingly violates the ISC2 code of ethics? Nothing happens. Obviously not. The member will be subject to peer review and potential penalties. Yeah. The members will be certification will be immediately revoked. Yeah. The member will be banned from the industry. Well, they can't just ban you from everything, the whole tech industry. So not those two. Subject to peer review and potential penalties, and the member certificate will be immediately revoked. Now, I think this one's kind of just going overboard. And something else too with the CISSP, if you can find an answer that has multiple answers or has multiple things, that can be actually the correct one. So even though I think, yeah, you can get your certifications revoked, for example, you cheating on the test, then yeah, but there's other things you can do that also violate the code of ethics. Maybe you give answers, or maybe you're doing XYZ, like on a YouTube video, like later on or something like that. So it would have to be B, because you're going to be subject to peer review, and potential penalties could also be you getting revoked. And yeah, so it says no one violates that. Yeah. All right. So we got only one wrong out of that. So I think that's great. Let's leave that page. Let's do domain 2. And we're probably gonna only do like 5. I mean, not 5, only like 3, maybe on this one. This is asset security. So let's see how good I am with this again. What are data remnants? Oh, I already know, like, that's like, we got like a little bit of data there left that you can do some things with. So yeah, let's just go through these. The ability to reconstruct the data after insufficient destruction efforts. Okay. The residual data that remains on the medium after a proper disposal. The deletion of data without removing the pointers, and the certification of destruction after data disposal. So yeah, not the certification. I mean, this one, yeah, I definitely know it's not that. I guess if you didn't know necessarily what all this is, you can look at data. Okay, something dealing with data, obviously, and then this. It's in the RE, kind of think of like reviving, repair. So if you come into it like not necessarily knowing everything or all the words, you can look at the context clues of even the word itself. And again, you might not know what that means, but like with RE in the front of the word, you can think of like reviving, repair, you know, words like that. So reconstruct. Yeah. So yeah, that's what it is. And the data remnants occurs when the data destruction efforts were insufficient to provide the reconstruction of the data. So using the operating system deletion command only removes the pointers to the data, not the data itself, leaving the possibility of reconstruction. This is a concern for regulated data and high sensitive data with rigorous destruction methods required. So yeah, you got to watch out for that. You don't want to destroy something, but not really destroy it. And then somebody else takes it, can recover it, and then they can just go ham on, your information. Let's see the next one. Which of the following is true about data in use security? Data in use. Okay. Data in use security. Okay. Data in use is typically used in a hard disk to perform user tasks. Encryption is the primary control used with data in use. Data in use is volatile, typically used in RAM, CPU cache, or CPU registers. Authentication, authorization, and accounting are not important controls for data in use. So yeah, no, this is definitely wrong. Yeah, you want your triple A. You're gonna always need that. You don't want that to be not important. So that's automatically off. Now, data in use is typically using hard disks to perform tasks. And this one kind of goes over some similar. Again, you can have a hard disk with obviously a lot of hard disks do have the drives in there, so it's constantly moving. And data use is like data moving. Like again, like you have like this right here actually, perfect. Like I got this hard drive, this hard disk, and I guess like a CD or something similar like inside this that's like constantly moving. If I'm not mistaken. Actually, I lied. This is not the one. I think this is my SSD. I lied. I had like another one over here actually. It's like an actual you can hear it. You can hear like the disc like this is constantly moving. Actually, that's actually my SSD. So that one and that one I'm talking about. But yeah, yeah, that would be like an example of you like physically seeing like that hard disk. But yeah, encryption is primary. Okay. We're not talking about encryption. So we got A and C. Data in use is volatile. Yeah, data in use is volatile. RAM, CPU, all that stuff. That data in use that's constantly moving. That's the answer for that one. A, I guess could dang, maybe not necessary for this one, but A will be closer to this to C than B and D. And data use is the third state of digital data. Refers to data that is actively being processed by an application being used by a user. It's typically using RAM, CPU cache, or CPU registers to perform the transaction and task the end user requires. It is volatile state, and encryption is not necessarily relevant here. Okay, yeah. So you got that right. And the third one, we'll end this one for domain 2. Which U.S. federal information security standard provides a set of procedures for conducting assessments of security controls and privacy controls employed within U.S. federal information systems and organizations can also be applicable to private sector organizations. So yeah, this one, I have no idea what this one is going to end up being. So we're going to just kind of try to use some type of context clues we can get from this. But I know what the NIST is. Which U.S. federal? The U.S. federal. I don't think it's NIST. Just from the fact that we're doing the U.S. federal security employed within U.S. federal information systems and organizations. Okay, so just from that, I'm not going to put the NIST. Like I was doing a whole lot of NIST stuff, and it was like nothing to do with like the U.S. federal. I'm not necessarily sure they require that. If they do, it's going to be this one. If they do, it's going to be this one. Number 4. It's not going to be 5. We got ISO and the FIPS publication 199. Huh. You know what? Oh wow, it was D. Guys. I did a guess right there. I really did a guess. It was D. I said if it's gonna be this, it's gonna be the 4. And sure enough, it freaking is. This Rev 4 provides a set of procedures for conducting assessments of security controls and privacy controls employed within U.S. federal information systems and organizations, and it can be applicable to private sector organizations. It is used as a complementary guide to NIST 5 and consistent with security. Dang. Yeah, that was my fault right there. Again, I kind of just did a guess. It was number 4. And I just want to look at this one. What did ISO provide and define? Okay, cool. So next up, let's go to number 3. So far, we only got like one wrong on each, on number 1 and number 2. Hopefully, we can start getting 100% on all of these, on like the rest of these. Okay, what is security engineering and architecture? So what is the purpose? What is the purpose of centralized parameter validation? Oh my gosh, I cannot speak today. To ensure that user input data is never accepted, to ensure that parameters are valid and proper when dealing with user input, to use multiple libraries to validate user input, to prevent system vulnerabilities by not accepting any input. So what the purpose of centralized parameter validation? So we're validating their data. So after RIP, D wouldn't be that one because we're preventing everything. Like we do want it to accept things. To ensure that the user input data is never accepted again, that's never accepted. So that's out. So we got B and C. Ensure that parameters are valid and proper when dealing with their input. Or C, the multiple libraries to validate user input data. So looking at the parameter validation. So yeah, B. And then let's look at the explanation. The purpose of centralized parameter validation is to ensure that parameters are valid and proper when dealing with user input. This is important because invalid or malformed data can be inputted either unwittingly or intentionally by malicious attackers, which can cause system vulnerabilities. Using a single library to validate parameters enables the necessary capability to properly review and test the library. Cool. So we got that right there. Next up, which of the following is a threat that occurs when a user claims that they did not perform an action and there is no evidence to prove otherwise? I mean, I already know this one, but let's just go through it. I know all of these again. And again, you can answer these in the comments as well. Again, I want to hear you guys' thoughts and kind of to see you guys' perspectives on some of these. Even if you might not know it, it's good to still practice. So spoofing, no, and that's literally I was dealing with that last week at my job. With some of these phishing emails, they've been spoofing themselves at other companies, and like their emails are really good. Like they've been doing some really good ones, but they've been spoofing themselves at other people. So that wouldn't make sense for this. Tampering, again, that does not make sense for this. Like you're tampering with somebody's like computer or something, for example, which is the following was a threat that occurs when the user claims they did not perform an action. So you got oh my God, reputation, and we got information disclosure. Information disclosure, you disclose on that you did something. So obviously it's C. And we'll do three on this one. What is the process of converting a plain text message into a cipher text message? So we got a plain text. You have, A, B, C, D. You can see it. Some plain text, no type of encryption, nothing on there. So what is the process of that plain text, that whatever, into cipher text? Okay, let's go through each of these. Plain text. Okay, you have ABC 123 to ABC 123. That's not doing anything. Clear text. Again, I think that's like another word for that, if I'm not mistaken, or something along those lines. Decryption. Well, we already have it in plain text, so it's like you would want to encrypt it. Like if it was already like jumbled up and you're decrypting it, then you're able to actually see what it is. So the answer would be D, encryption or encrypting the data there. Next up, let's go ahead and go to number 4. And on that one, yeah, we got you got the security engineering and architecture 3 for 3 right there. That's great. And again, on my CISSP, I did get on that domain as well. That was one of the top ones. Even though I didn't get to answer all the questions. So which of the following is true for IP4 and IP6? IP6 is the main version used. Okay. IP4 and IP6 exist in different OSI layers. OP4 is the main version used, and OP4 and OP6 have the same network layer in the TCP IP model. I don't think IP6 is necessarily the main version used. Again, I'm going to just going through my own knowledge in my head on this. IP4 and IP6 exist in different OSI layers, and this one has them in the same. So it can't be B and D. It should at the same time, pretty much. It got to be either or on those. And IP4 is the main version. I want to say it is on the same. Oh wow, it is okay. IP4 is a main. Okay. IP4 is currently the main version used, while IP6 is the evolving version. IP4 and IP6 both exist in the same network layer of the OSI model and the internet layer of that. Therefore, option A and B are incorrect. Option D is also incorrect because IP4 have all different protocols. Yeah. You see, man, that's oh man, that's something also when you going through the test too. You gotta like really actually look at the whole answer because I'm putting B and C together, but I'm looking at the OSI layers. I'm looking at, yeah, this exists in different OSI layers, and then in my head, I'm looking at this as that they exist in the same layer, and they're not even actually the same. This is talking about the CCP IP model, and this is talking about just the OSI layer. So you see, that was my fault right there. I should have really read through this. And again, it's a little bit different because I'm talking and I'm saying the question multiple times out loud. In a test, you're not taking this stuff out loud. When I'm actually taking tests, I'm super quiet. It's just, going through everything in my head. So yeah, that makes sense. C being the answer there. Okay. What is the use of the Kerberos protocol to provide communication between two systems in a secure layer? To provide protection for login credentials over an unsecured layer, to encrypt all data transmitted over a network, and D, to prevent unauthorized access to a system. The Kerberos, to provide communication between two systems in a secure network. Okay. To provide protection for login credentials over an unsecured network. Okay. To encrypt all data transmitted over a network, and to prevent um, unauthorized access. So yeah, that one I kind of just knew, but I guess if you come into it not knowing it, oh yeah, that one would be hard if you didn't know already. I'm not gonna lie, that one would have been hard. So sometimes you kind of do have to know, what some of these protocols are to actually get it correct. Cause yeah, prevent unauthorized. Yeah, if I didn't know what that was already, yeah, I really would have just been guessing. And three, what is the maximum number of segments allowed in a network that follows the 5-4-3 rule? Huh. What is the maximum number of segments allowed in a network that follows the 5-4-3 rule? So you would think it would be five, right? And it is five. Yeah, that one I'm like 5-4-3. Even though I don't know what the 5-4-3 rule is, I'm just assuming it five segments or five, whatever, four and three, and you can pick which one. That's how I answered that one. I guess I could see people picking three because you only see three numbers. But let's see. According to the 5-4-3 rule, there can be a maximum of five segments in a network that is arranged in a tree topology with a central hub or trunk. The segments can be connected by oh yeah. So now I remember. But yeah, it can be connected by a maximum of four repeaters and concentrators. Only three of those five segments can have additional or other user, server, or networking device connections. All right, so we're almost done with this. Let's go over number five real quick. And again, I'm hoping you guys are like answering these questions too as well, either writing them down or answering them in your head. And definitely check out some of these. I think these are pretty good. What is vertical privilege escalation? Vertical, okay. So we got horizontal, like the horizon, and we got vertical. So we're gonna be escalating up. An attack that grants access to systems or resources that a user is not authorized for. Okay. An attack seeking to gain increased privileges on a system. Okay. An attack method that exploits improperly configured IAM tools or features like roles. Okay. And a non-human account designed to perform specific functions. So I already knew what that was there, but um you're trying to escalate. You're trying to go up. Like when I did my little thing right here, like with the horizontal, and you got the vertical. When we're attacking up, we're trying to gain privileges. We're trying to gain more. And we're going to gain more. So privileges will be one. Like if you're at the lower end and you're trying to get to you know, like admin level, for example, so you can have full reign or something. You're going up. you're attacking up. You're not attacking down. Like if you're already an admin, why would you go down and lose more and more privileges? So that's kind of how I came, across it in my head. We're gonna go up, trying to gain more privileges. We're not trying to lose privileges, so we're going up vertical, not horizontal. Saying the same on that. Next up, two. What is the main difference between single factor authentication and multi factor authentication? A single factor authentication requires multiple pieces of authentication information. Okay, while multi factor requires just one. So they're just doing the exact opposite. So A is wrong. Single factor authentication requires just one factor to verify an identity. Okay, while multi factor requires the use of more than one. Okay. C, single factor only uses type 2 identification factors, while multi-factor uses all three types. Okay. And single factor authentication is only used for physical access control, while multi-factor is used for digital access control. Okay, I see where you're trying to get people at. And yes, B. But um if I didn't know what this one was, kind of should use a context clue. Single would be one, multi-factor would be multiple. So A would be out. D, again, they're talking about physical controls and whatnot. They're not necessarily um, have anything necessarily to do with just question. You can have multi-factor in physical places as well, where you need like your key code and then like your fingerprints or your palm print, maybe an eye scan. Like, there's multiple ways you can do it in a physical location. And then C, only type 2 authentication act factors, while multi-factor uses all three. Nah, I mean, if you didn't know, even still, look at a single factor. You don't have to use just type 2 authentication factors. And then three, which of the following is an example of a type 2 authentication factor? Okay, username and password, personal ID number, trusted smartphone, biometric authentication. Okay. So I don't think it's username and password, if I'm not mistaken. That's like a type 1, like the first type of authentication. So type 2, you got your PIN number. Okay. Which again, it could go with that. Trusted smartphone or your biometric authentication. Okay. Your trusted smartphone. Yeah, they can send you codes. Yeah, they actually can send you codes. Your biometric authentication. That's like you're putting like your fingerprints. And again, your personal PIN. Sometimes they do ask you for a PIN. Type 2 authentication factor. Hmm. So sometimes you may come across questions like this as well, where you know which each of these are, but which which type does it fall into? So we got three: B, C, and D. Biometric. Trusted smartphone and PIN. So okay, it's something that we have. So I guess we can do like something you have, something that you know. Um, and go like in that way. So username and password, we both know that. Um, personal, your PIN, you know that as well. So we're gonna take out B. So we got trusted smartphone biometric. So something that we have is or something that we know. We know our password. We know our PIN. Something that something that we have, I believe is the next one, which will be your smartphone. And then I think a type 3 would be the biometric. And definitely C or D. I want to say it's first something that you know, which is your username, password. And then I want to say number 2 was something that you yeah, something you have. I really want to say something that you have. So that would be your trusted smartphone. But you just having a smartphone, man, you still would have to do something with that phone. I'm gonna go with the biometric authentication. Oh, really? Oh man, guys, I had it right. I had it right. I had it right. I was looking into the question too much. So yeah, it was. Okay, I did have it right on that. Like in terms of like type, I believe type 1 is again something you know. You know your password, you know your PIN. Type 2, something that you have. And then number three, something that you are. So yeah, sometimes something that happens, and you sometimes you really can't look into the question too much and get the wrong answer. I would have got it right if I would have went with my first one there. Let's go ahead and go to domain six right here. Let's look at domain six. We're almost done, guys. We're almost done here. Okay, what is the purpose of interface testing in security assessments? So we're looking at testing to ensure that the user interface looks aesthetically pleasing. Okay, that dealing with security, I don't know. So that's out. To test the functionality and security of the system's various interfaces. Okay. To test the ability of a system to handle unexpected situations. Okay. And to determine if the system meets the organization data analytics goals. So what purpose of interface testing? So interface, we're really just testing out the functionality. We're not trying to dive in deep and do all the extra stuff. So yeah, it would be B. I'm going to try to answer these a little bit quicker because this video is already 36 minutes. What method of testing combines elements of vulnerability scanning and automated penetration testing and utilizes a continuously refreshed database of attack methods and newly discovered vulnerabilities? Okay, what method of testing combines the scanning and automated penetration testing? So we got social engineering testing, and no, that would not be automated or whatnot. It's like me going out doing social engineering or XYZ to get information. So that's out. So we got three. Physical security testing, again, that wouldn't be automated. So that's out. So we got network traffic analysis and breach and attack simulations. So which testing combines elements of vulnerability scanning? Okay, you can do some network traffic, breach and attack. Okay. And automated penetration testing. And utilize a continually refreshed database of attack methods. So it would have to be C. Initially, I could see B. With some of this, like the vulnerability scanning, maybe a little bit of the automated penetration testing, but this part, the continually refreshed database of attack methods. So that's only one dealing with attack. Which framework requires a management to periodically review the information security program for continuing suitability, adequacy, and effectiveness? Which framework requires management to periodically review? Okay, SOC 2, COBIT, ISO, certification and accreditation. I don't think it's that one. We get certified. You don't need to check your certification. Like I got a CISSP, no, not CISSP. I got a Network Plus certification. I don't need to periodically check that. So we got SOC 2, COBIT, and that. SOC 2 is a report. So I don't see that either. COBIT and ISO. I forget what COBIT was actually. So I just went with the ISO. And again, it kind of reminded me of you have like a NIST or something like along those lines, and something that you can look back into. But yeah, ISO requires management to periodically review the information security program for continuing suitability, accuracy, and effectiveness. All right, we got two more to go. So that was 6. We got that all correct there. And I'm not gonna lie, this is like the longest time it is actually loaded. Usually it loads like very quickly. So maybe a whole lot of people are actually on the site right now, maybe. Well, yeah, let's look at domain 7, security operations. And let's see. Okay, which of the following is a principle of evidence that requires that evidence and documentation must not contain errors, be in conflict with other evidence, or lack integrity? Okay, so being accuracy, that would be with the not contain errors, but not necessarily with the other stuff. Authenticity, that can go with the lack of integrity, comprehensibility. I guess they kind of going with everything low key. Convincing. Oh, accuracy. Oh my gosh, guys. Again, I should have went over that again. I thought for sure it was comprehensibility at first. But accuracy is a principle of evidence that requires that evidence and documentation must not contain errors, be in conflict with other evidence, or lack integrity. And again, that's kind of just my fault right there. Kind of just trying to get through these last ones quick so this video isn't like too long. Okay, what is the main difference between network-based and host-based systems for intrusion detection and prevention? The main difference between network and hosts. Okay, a network-based system monitors host specific network traffic and leverage signals from other tools such as anti-malware, while host-based systems are dedicated applications that scan all networks. So this is doing the opposite, though. So that's wrong. B, network-based systems are designed to be deployed on a specific network endpoint like a server or a workstation, while host-based systems monitor host-specific network. So host-based doing host specific network and network-based doing specific network. Okay. C, network-based systems are often dedicated appliances that scan all network traffic to look for signs of attack, while host-based systems are designed to be deployed on a specific network endpoint like a server or a workstation. Okay. And then D, network-based systems and host-based systems are the same thing, just with different names. Okay, so they're not necessarily the same. So A and D are out. So we got B and C. And again, network-based systems are designed to be put on a specific network. And this one, network-based systems are then dedicated appliances that scan all network traffic to look for signs. And then this one, the host-based monitors host-specific ones. And this host-based system are designed to be deployed on a specific network endpoint like a server or a workstation. And yeah, this one is more specific. Like, yeah, networks are dedicated to scan, yeah, all network for attack and whatnot. But this point right here, kind of just being in cybersecurity, yeah, our host-based one are for our servers and for our workstation. So that's how I knew that one. It was kind of just wasn't for host-specific ones there. And then what is the primary goal of incident management? To investigate every event that occurs within an organization, to detect every event that occurs within the organization, to restore the organization's normal operations as quickly as possible, and to prioritize events based on their impact on the organization. So what's the primary goal of incident management? Okay, so incident happens and we're managing it. Incident management. Okay, so to investigate every event that occurs, that's a lot. To detect every event, I don't think that would help out with you managing the incident that already occurred. To restore the organization's normal operations as quickly as possible. Okay, that deals with incident and we're managing it. And to prioritize events based on the impact. So yeah, that's the only one that like actually made sense with that, like an incident and then managing that incident. And then lastly, let's go ahead and go over domain 8. That one we did really good there. And hopefully we can do this one pretty good again. I didn't want to make this one too long, and it's already gonna get long. Hopefully on my next one we can like really go on like to depth, maybe answer like 10 on each one, but that probably will be like over an hour maybe. So what's the goal of integrated product teams, IPTs, and software development security? Okay, to remove security and compliance requirements from the system design process, to combine both product and process design to ensure a product has a holistic set of requirements used to design both systems and business processes, to ensure developers are the only stakeholders involved in the system development process. Okay, that's off. And to delay or impede traditional software development. I don't think it's that either. All right, so we got A and B. What's the goal of integrated product teams? Okay, in software development. Integrated product teams to remove security and compliance. You don't want to remove it, so we'll have to be B. That's the only one that makes more logical sense. Number 2, what are the main purposes of logs in software development security? So logs, and then development security. Logs are only created to satisfy internal oversight goals rather than external compliance requirements. I mean, you may have external compliance requirements. So I'm gonna put that out for now. B, logs are generated to prevent risk from occurring and to ensure compliance with legal and regulatory requirements. To prevent risk, I mean, a risk could still happen with you having a log, but let's continue. Logs are primarily used for operational troubleshooting and performance management purposes. Okay, having the logs, being able to go back, they can help out with troubleshooting. And logs are useful for audit and monitoring purposes and to demonstrate compliance. So I want to say it's D, just for the fact that it kind of deals with more. And this one, it like the troubleshooting is whatnot, they can like still go in with this, for example. But yeah, using that for audits and to determine compliance with documenting governments, to me that makes the most logical sense. And the last one, what are common components found in maturity models? Practices, level, metrics, and checkpoints, domains, levels, criteria, and targets, goals, practices, audits, and measurements, and standards, targets, metrics, and levels. Okay, what is the common components found in maturity models? I'm not exactly sure what this one is, so we'll kind of just do some, you know, some good takeaways from this. Domains, levels, criteria, and targets, maturity models. So we're within a model. Maturity models, practices, levels, metrics, and checkpoints. Okay, domains, levels, criteria, and targets. The goals, practice, audits, and measurements. Can we get a goal? Can we get some practices in? We do see practice multiple times. So we'll level multiple times here. And standards, targets, metrics, and levels. Oh, domain. Okay. Okay. And let's see. Maturity models usually include four common components, which are domains, level, criteria, and targets. Domains are the processes of business aspects. The model is designed to help measure levels, organize sets of practice into a series of increasing levels. Criteria are used to achieve a specific level of maturity, and targets describe the organization's desired maturity level. All right, so that one I end up getting wrong. We got 2 out of 3 on the last one right there. We're gonna go ahead and just keep it right there. I'm not gonna cut out the ones I got wrong because you guys need to see that, hey, you can get stuff wrong and it's okay. You can still learn, find the reason why, and then come back to it full force. This is one of the reasons I recommend the Anki card for this, because if you do get it wrong, you can have it coming to you faster when you're going over all the different ones, so that you can really understand it and started getting those type of questions correct versus incorrect. But anyway, guys, if video ended up being a whole lot longer than I thought, but hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully you guys been enjoying it as well. And if you haven't already, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe. And I will be seeing you guys in the next one. Peace.